Sorry, are you able to see my screen? I just had load shedding, so the power cut off.
Yes.
Which screen can you see? Because I have now just switched to the other screen.
Your face.
My face, okay.
Yeah, and the presentation on the main screen.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm trying to hide a section so that I can actually see other part of my PC. Can you like completely, can you see Zoom and can you see the presentation?
So I can see your face in your little speaker box. That your video is on. And then I can see on the main screen, I can see the presentation with all the speakers' faces and the heading of the talk.
And okay, so you can't see my Word document open.
No.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So Caroline, if you can just manage the IM for any questions or concerns to alert me, because I cannot look at that right now.
Will do.
So I will start. Morning, everyone. I do trust that it is still morning in everyone's countries. So I'm Aatifah Latief. I am from South Africa, specifically in Cape Town. Just to take you through the rules, please ensure that your mics are on mute. You can switch on your video when you would like to ask a question or if the speakers are interacting with you. And that is about it. Sorry. And lastly, respect the speaker. So we will have a Q&A session at the end of all of the topics and a short body break of 5 minutes. So please do keep your questions there or write them down so that you can prepare to ask the speakers those questions at the end. So just a quick welcome note to everyone. I would like to welcome you all, esteemed participants, young leaders from across Africa. I'm Aatifah Latief, very passionate for advocating for sustainable energy practices. So today we, as the speakers, are thrilled to have you join us for this electrifying and empowering free virtual workshop. We'll be exploring the impact of LinkedIn on our professional development, along with essential skills in CV and cover letter writing, as well as public speaking. Now, LinkedIn has become indispensable in our careers, enabling us to expand our networks professionally, connect with industry leaders, and it has access to an abundant amount of opportunities for growth. Through this platform, we've propelled our careers and reached new heights in our respective fields as the speakers. But this workshop will bring all of you guys from different countries within African continent to share your knowledge as well as ask questions, because yeah, if we don't know something, ask the question. And we hope that this will be essential for your success towards creating or self-branding your LinkedIn profile, as well as speaking in public. So we'll learn how to optimize our profiles, engage our audience through authentic storytelling and crafting compelling CVs and cover letters. And through this program, we will have an incredible lineup of experienced speakers that are experienced in LinkedIn, CV writing, and public speaking. So let's seize this moment to learn, engage, and inspire one another, and use the private chat function to chat with anybody that you see is interesting. We want to make this as interactive as possible. So together we can thrive in the digital age, unlocking boundless opportunities for our careers and our communities. So once again, I would like to welcome Africa's young leaders, and let's embark on this transformative journey together and make a lasting impact. So thank you. And I will firstly then, before I hand over to our speakers, I would like to introduce them to you. So firstly, we have Simon Gosling, who is the Managing Director of EnergyNet. He's responsible for expanding the company's global business profile, particularly in Africa's power and industrial sectors. With his experience in working with governments and private sectors in growing economies, he facilitates rapid exploration of project structures and enables investors to respond swiftly to market and political shifts, all while being dedicated to job creation and identifying industrial sector opportunities for public and private growth. Then we have Dr. Faith Nwaobia. Am I saying that correctly? I am bad at pronunciation. An influential youth leader from Nigeria. He's the founder of Youthup Global and Utidia. Please give him a follow on LinkedIn. As a human capital development strategist and labor economist, he brings expertise involving youth and nurturing talent. Dr. Faith will guide participants on leveraging LinkedIn to position themselves effectively for future of work. Then we have our well-esteemed Lucy Mutuku, who is a young leader from Kenya and CEO of the National Youth Caucus Kenya. She's an experienced youth advocate and social entrepreneur. Her session will offer insights into utilizing LinkedIn as well, and equipping participants with essential skills for success in public speaking. So Caroline Bull, she is from South Africa, Cape Town. She's a youth mentor and multimedia specialist with a BA in English, Media and Writing from UCT. Drawing on her expertise, she empowers young leaders to effectively communicate their ideas and aspirations through compelling content and storytelling. And we have the well-acclaimed Harun Mwadena Muyesi, hashtag Mwadena, an influential young leader from Kenya's coastal region. He is the founder and director of the Collaborative Approach. Through promoting collaboration among young change makers, he aims to build thriving communities in Africa. So Harun inspires participants to tap into their potential and become catalysts for transformative change. And the last biography that I will read is Salma Abbas. She is from Egypt, so she is representing MENA. She's a seasoned marketing and communications expert from Egypt, currently championing the cybersecurity community as channel marketing advisor at RSA Security, with a strong passion for projects promoting digital education, environmental protection, and human rights to improve lives. So let's give our speakers a round of applause. You can use the emoji or put on your mics. But now I will hand over to Simon, who will give us some insights from YES if you have participated YES. So take it away, Simon. Thanks.
Thanks, Aatifah. I love these kind of events because it shows that YES had some kind of impact. I think everybody who's here, certainly on the speaker side, have heard of YES or participated in YES or even attended the Youth Energy Summit in Nairobi a month ago. One of the challenges that we had when preparing the Youth Energy Summit, it's a concept which we wrote in principle about 7 years ago and have kind of been working on how to develop it because it's quite a daunting task. I think the point of this session talking about LinkedIn and personal development is really important, because when we look at how to engage communities as outsiders, and that's, you know, we as EnergyNet, we live in the UK and we are conference organizers. We're outsiders. You know, we're not Africans. So how do we learn and how do we engage with the community? The feedback we got was that most people are operating on Facebook and Instagram, and we don't, as a business, we don't tend to operate on those platforms so much. But LinkedIn is a business platform and has been incredibly successful for us in terms of communicating. And I'll give you some a bit of insight into how successful, I guess. We operate from London. And we work with governments, the majority of governments, nearly 40 governments across Africa, and all 24 governments across Latin America. So being able to do that from a hub in London, you know, is really hard. You know, it was only 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where people would have still been, you know, calling from the landlines, traveling the world. And these kind of engagements really make the world a much smaller place. They really enable people to interact and engage with people beyond privilege. I'll use that term for the first time today, beyond privilege. And what I mean by beyond privilege is this gives you and everybody around the world an ability to engage as though we're in the same room together. So that's why I'm really excited about today. And I wanted to thank Harun and Aatifah for hosting the session. So the Youth Energy Summit, I think we launched the first live event last year in Brussels as a test case. We wanted to test that the theory would work and that we would get engagement from both the youths across the continent, but also from our stakeholders. And it's really critical that we had engagement from our stakeholders because effectively they pay our bills. So as a conference organizer, we charge people to sponsor the event and we charge people to attend the event, and that's how we make our money. Now, if we're bringing something into that environment that disrupts the status quo, then that puts at risk you know, our business model. So we had to make sure that the model stood up and that it was going to work with the businesses that support our events. And those businesses are organizations like the World Bank, IFC, the African Development Bank, Standard Bank, Nedbank, the majority of banks across the continent, but also all of the development finance institutions. We have 90% of the development finance institutions that operate on the continent that participate in the Africa Energy Forum. We have 80+% of the IPPs that work across the continent attend and participate in the event. And we have the majority of lawyers, and I mean, it's a very well regarded event and very well attended event. And that's why, sorry, I'm just looking at what's flashing up, your media. So it's a great platform for people to participate. So when we went into it, we were hesitant around how many youths we could engage in the Youth Energy Summit. I think we would have been happy to have 200 people participate and attend the event in Nairobi. But we had to understand, how do we engage people and how do we make this, how do we raise awareness around the event? So the idea was that we would bring together a group of social media influencers, as well as using our own networks. And Harun and Lucy, who are on the panel here, and a number of others, Dr. Faith, came on board and really promoted the event. Now, building an alliance with social media influencers and people who are interested in energy enabled us to really reach a continental-wide audience. We had over 7,000 people apply to attend the Youth Energy Summit. Now, this is an in-person event, so it wasn't held online, it was in person in Nairobi. So we had over 7,000 people apply to attend. We had certain metrics that would then qualify them to be approved to attend. And of those 7,000, we approved just over 3,000 people to attend the event in person. And just under 1,200 people attended the event in Nairobi, which is extraordinary. You know, I don't think we expected to have such a huge engagement. You know, for us, 200 to 500 was where we were planning. I think as we move forward, we then put certain things in place so that we wouldn't struggle to host around 500. And of course, we then flew past that number, and as I say, just under 1,200 people attended. And what's exciting about that is when we think, why are we doing the Youth Energy Summit? You know, we're a business, and I'm going to talk honestly here, because I think it's important that people understand where I'm coming from and why we as a business are doing this. You know, because I think some people may think that we're just doing it out of the goodness of our heart. And people doing things out of the goodness of our heart is really important. You have to be set up to, you know, to do things which have impact, and you have to be a positive thinker to you know, to really shape things around impact and job creation. But the reality is that we're a conference company. We're considered, you know, quite a good one, I guess. But our market at the Africa Energy Forum, that really finance our business, they're telling us that they struggle to recruit. So these businesses are banks, law firms, IPPs. I'm interested, I'm not going to say what an IPP stands for, so if people are interested, then please tap it into the chat box, and it'd be interesting to know who knows what IPPs stand for. But we work with a lot of the IPPs and the banks and the law firms, and they're all telling us that when they're developing projects, they really struggle to recruit the right kind of people in the right geographies. So we work with people who are developing projects in pretty much every country on the continent. And what's exciting about that is through the Youth Energy Summit, they can then start to run recruitment workshops, and they can start to really reach out to this community and say, look, we're working on this project. We're looking for law students. We're looking for business developers. We're looking for people in accounts. We're looking for people in ICT, and we can really use this platform to help the businesses recruit people like you. So that's why we did it. We did it because our audience are saying we need to recruit, and we need to meet youths who will help us to operate better in the communities where they work. So I think when we look at the Youth Energy Summit, in reality, having 1,200 people says that not only is our audience the business developers, the banks, the lawyers who are looking to employ people, not only is there an appetite for that, but then when we look at the response from the youths across the continent, we can see clearly that there is a huge appetite for those jobs, and for people to look at the energy sector and explore what jobs are available. So I think the point there is that the Youth Energy Summit was a resounding success. Now that's the Youth Energy Summit in isolation. I think you have to look at it in terms of, well, that's all well and good having 1,200 people turning up and engaging 7,000 people, etc., online. But how does that actually help people create jobs? Because what you can't have, and I think when we had our advisory board meeting at the end, the chair from the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet said, Simon, this is great, but what we're conscious of is that we don't want people just to leave with brochures and pens. That's not what this is all about. And I think that statement really resonated with me, because none of us want just to leave an event like this with you know, brochures and pens. That's why what Aatifah and Harun are doing here is really important, because it gives that continuation. It shows that you're building a community that is going to actually not sit back and wait for other people to do it. They're going to take advantage of the situation. They're going to really reach out and make sure that they're building a community of like-minded individuals that will be the sector going forward. So it's a really exciting time. As EnergyNet, we believe that to electrify a continent of 1 billion people, we have to engage 10% of you in the conversation. So that's 100 million people. We're going to do that through a series of network building exercises like this. as well as through partnerships with mobile operators such as Safaricom, etc. We want to work with them to make sure that the message gets out there. Now, when you think about building a community of 100 million people, that is a lot. And how do you communicate with that many people? Well, actually, the reality is this. We're not necessarily interested in engaging 100 million people in one-to-one conversations. That's not a reality. The reality is that there is an abundance of job opportunities, well-paid, international and national job opportunities across the continent that are either in the energy sector or in the peripheral industries of the energy sector that are available. So we want to alert 100 million people across the continent to those opportunities with a view to directly engaging 1 million of those people in conversation and in interactions like this. So the next steps for the Youth Energy Summit is we obviously have the Beyond Privilege platform, which is now live. People can go on there. It's like a LinkedIn, but for young energy professionals. Our audience of both businesses and young energy professionals are already operating on there. We're going to be hosting a number of online workshops focused in different areas, such as business development. So looking at young entrepreneurs who are trying to develop their businesses. And when you get into all of this movement, you start to get into some really interesting facts. And this is one of the ones that has really stood out for me and is really driving me personally forward, because the continent needs more electricity. And this statistic is so powerful that I think, you know, we can move the dial on this. So the statistic is this: 90% of projects and businesses don't achieve financial close or financial success because of poor business planning, because of poor business plans. So what is a business plan? A business plan is how do you communicate what your business is trying to achieve and what do you need? So, you know, as an investor, if I was investing in a business, I would want to know, okay, what are you trying to achieve? How is your business going to be sustainable in terms of how is it going to run beyond the first 2 years? Because running a business the first 2 years is relatively straightforward, but it's beyond those 2 years. So how is your business going to be sustainable? So who you're going to be selling your products to? How big is your community and areas like this? So we're going to be doing a number of those programs. In November, we're going to be hosting on the same day an in-country workshop in Nigeria. It's great to see Salmas here in Nigeria, in Egypt, in Kenya, and South Africa, and those 4 in-country workshops will also be interactive between the 4 countries as well as being broadcast online. And again, we'll be bringing in businesses who are looking at job creation, looking to find employees, looking to help businesses develop. So I'm going to wrap up there, I think, Aatifah. But the point here is, and I think what Harun and Aatifah are really stressing, is that businesses want to meet young professionals. Some of the feedback that we got from the Africa Energy Forum attendees is that, wow, this is an amazing moment. There were some really incredible people, but there were a lot of people just wanting to go around and get, you know, freebies or take beers from stands and things like this. So using this community to build a community of like-minded individuals who are professional, who want to create impact in their communities. You know, people like William Kakwamba, who was with us, and the likes. You're the people that people want to meet. We are here to do everything we can to create, you know, to create a better environment and to electrify the continent. Aatifah, I think I'll hand back to you, and if anybody has any questions, I'll take them in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Simon, for that insight onto YES, and we're on to big, great things for the future of YES. That's good to hear. So the next topic that we will be embarking on is a mini panel session that's focused on the power of digital. And when we say the power of digital, we specifically gearing towards LinkedIn because that is a nice transition from our student or to a more professional setting. So I will invite the following panelists, which are Lucy, Mutuku, Dr. Faith, Harun, and Caroline. They are the 4 panelists for this discussion. Can I get a thumbs up that you guys are ready? Cool. Okay. So I will firstly ask a question to get the discussion going. Thanks, Lucy. So the first question that I would like the panelists to answer is specifically on how we can leverage LinkedIn profiles for our career success. So to the audience as the panelist, and I would direct this firstly to Dr. Faith, how can professionals optimize their LinkedIn profiles to effectively showcase their skills, achievements, a personal brand, ultimately leading to a career growth and opportunities for them? I know it's quite a mouthful, but yeah, go ahead, Dr. Faith, and give us some insights to that. Dr. Faith? Okay, I don't know what happened to Dr. Faith, but oh, there we go. I think he's having some issues. Lucy, would you then like to go ahead and answer that question?
If maybe after this, nipeande .30. Please, I'll not listen to it again.
Dr. Faith, is that you? Because we can hear you.
Yes, I'm battling with network here. I didn't get the question.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. Whoever has their mics on, can you please mute it? Thank you. So the first, Harun, can you please arrange to mute people's mics? Thanks, apart from the speakers. So the first question is, how can professionals optimize their LinkedIn profiles to effectively showcase their skills, achievements, how to personal brand, ultimately leading to career growth and opportunities for themselves?
Okay, good question there. And thank you, participants from across Africa. And thank you, everyone that had made their time to be part of this section. And I must also thank Simon, who had spoken earlier, to give us insight as to the future of YES. So the question that you asked about how professionals can leverage LinkedIn to position for using their, leveraging their work, professional career. First and foremost, once you get into LinkedIn, there's this thing about having a misconception of what LinkedIn is. And I want to talk about it briefly because it happened to me. Most people, when they get to LinkedIn, they feel LinkedIn is just a platform to job hunt. And they get it wrong. Immediately they begin to think that, because what you will begin to do, just as I did when I landed on LinkedIn, was to begin to send messages to every name that has recruiter to their as title or HR, and start sending them, messages, even when you have not had any form of relationship. So when I did that, over the period that I did that, I discovered that I was not capturing value. So I had sections, and then I followed some persons that were doing it right. And I discovered that the actual way of starting off on LinkedIn, even with having to fix your profiles and all that, is to first start with building relationship. So, because at the end of the day, the people that you are going to be interacting with, they are individuals, they are human beings. So you need to first even connect and know who they are, right? So even this led me to put up a book. I have a book on this. how to leverage LinkedIn, right, to build your career as a professional. And then one of the things that I would always mention in any section that I have that I need to talk about the power of LinkedIn is this. The journey of LinkedIn starts with connecting first. So I came up with what I call the 3 C's. The 3 C's of social networking, because LinkedIn today is the greatest social networking platform as a professional social networking platform that we have. So I came up with what I call 3 C's of social networking. The first C there is connect. That starts with connection. Then first and foremost, before you even start engaging, you need to first build your connection.
Dr. Faith, I think you froze now and we cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, but I would like you to wrap up a bit so that we can give our other panelists a chance. Thanks.
Okay, please, I don't know to the extent that you stopped hearing. If I want to come back to that, that'll be fine.
Okay, cool. So I'll move on to the next question because I'm sure you have other insights on the others as well. Thank you, Dr. Faith, for your insights on that. The next question, which I will direct to Lucy and Harun, is what strategies can professionals employ to expand their network on LinkedIn beyond adding connections? Such as Dr. Faith said, it's more about first creating that network, that relationship before you can build on your profile. So how can you establish a valuable relationship that can contribute to your career advancement? And I will give this one to Lucy to take over first, and then if there are any other comments from the other speakers, you can go ahead. Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Lucy Mutuku. And to begin with, LinkedIn is a platform which it's a professional platform, and I'm sure most of us being on LinkedIn, those are some of the key things that we've learned, that it's a platform that you can use to build yourself as a young person, as a student, to even a young professional. And therefore, all the activities and interactions should reflect your passion and commitment to your career journey. That is, by using LinkedIn effectively, you can build a strong professional presence and increase your chances of transitioning from a student to a young professional. And this is what I'm actually sharing. It's something that I've tried and it has worked. So being a young person, I think I've been LinkedIn for quite some time now. And one thing that I've really realized, and I believe if you utilize today, you're going to grow even in your career journey. And to begin with, for you to be successful in LinkedIn, you have to create a very professional profile. I'm not saying that we have 10 years of experience or 6 years of experience. I mean, we are young people. Where do we get those experience from? But it's about how do you package yourself? How do you branch yourself as a young, to make sure that if I engage your profile, your LinkedIn profile, I can get some answers to the questions that I already have. My name is so-and-so, this is what I do, and these are some of the skills that I possess and I have interest in, maybe 1, 2, 3 things. So it's about your profile, your LinkedIn profile. It's actually like your online resume, whereby you have to ensure that it's complete, it's accurate. Don't lie. Please just make it simple. Be honest about it. There is no need for you to lie, and make sure that you portray a professional brand in terms of, you don't have to make, you see, people address you. There is a quote that says, people address you by how you're dressed. Meaning, if you put maybe something, even a simple thing like the the profile photo on LinkedIn. What have you put there? So that, you see, people tend to differentiate a serious person and someone who is not serious, even by how they present themselves, even in terms of photos and images. So please ensure that your personal brand and especially your profile is captivating as a young person, and have a well-written summary highlighting your skills, experiences, and career aspirations. That way, you'll be able to attract people. And I always say, and it's something that even I've learned from my mentors, the likes of Simon Gosling, whereby it's not even about quantity, it's about quality. The people you attract in your network, because they say your network is your network. And then number two, it's about connecting with the right people. When you want to propel, when you want to propel and become a young professional on LinkedIn, you must ensure that you build and you connect with the right people, and you create or build a network of like-minded people and individuals who are valuable to you, so that it's easier to learn. Because you see, we always say, learning never tomorrow we learn. For us to learn, we have to ensure that the people who are in our networks are the right people who can even help us with the journey from the transition, and people who can make us become better versions of ourselves. And then the other thing is that you have to have etiquette. And this is so key when it comes to young people. It's something that I've done. It's a mistake that I've done in the past, whereby you inbox someone and you're like, hi, I mean, where am I taking the highs? Where am I taking the hellos? So you have to have etiquette. Inboxing someone, inboxing in terms of when you send in a message to them, please make it like, be specific. Hi, Mutuku, this is what I do. And the reason as to why I reached out to you, it's because of 1, 2, 3. If it's mentorship, if it's seeking for an opportunity, but people are busy out here. People have things to do. So why do you think I'll reply to your hi or hello? Okay, for me, I can, but do you think someone who has so much to do you think they will give you attention? Not really. So you have to be specific on the exact things that you do. And then the other thing is about LinkedIn offers lots of opportunities. From time to time, you see jobs, you see webinars that are ongoing, and lots of other opportunities. As a young person, remember, opportunities will always be there, but it is up to me as a young person, it is up to me as a student to go that extra mile and grab that opportunity. Keep applying those jobs. They keep, knocking those doors. You never know who is watching. And then be consistent. You don't have to post daily, but even being so consistent in terms of engaging. And there are people who are so active on LinkedIn, like myself and others. You can even engage them and engage in what you post, because that is the only way that you're going to attract even attention from different stakeholders and even potential employers. And then, yes, if you can, please publish articles, publish content, sharing your insights, sharing something. That is the only time you can demonstrate your expertise and passion. That is by sharing insights related to the field you are in. And yes, so basically, I think that's all about transitioning from a young person, from a student to a young professional. And then maybe the last bit of it before I give my fellow panelists, it's that when you fail, because at times we'll have, you see, we will reach out to different people having expectations. If this person gets back to me, this will mean a lot to me. It doesn't guarantee that they will get back to you. Don't feel bad about it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep posting, keep doing, engaging, and one day it will pay off. So don't feel bad. Whenever you make a mistake, make sure you learn from it. If they feel maybe you're rude or you see, we have to learn how to respect different cultures, individuals, diversity amongst ourselves. Because there is someone you can text now and they will get back to you after 3 months. So don't feel bad about it. There is always someone who is willing, and maybe for now they've not seen that value in you, but keep proving yourself that you're capable, and they're gonna get back to you. So thank you so much. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That was really insightful, and I can see that you're stirring up a great conversation and opened up a lot of the youth's eyes in terms of their LinkedIn profiles. It was really insightful. I have suggested in the IM that they follow yourself and Harun and Faith on LinkedIn to like study your profiles to get more of a visual aspect to learning how you guys do things on LinkedIn, like the newsletters, the stories, and I'm sure that will help them as well, apart from just listening to what you have to say today. But I will hand over to Harun to comment on that and further go into the next question. So Harun, do you have any insights on that you would like to add on what Lucy has said, or can I advance to the next question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, there we go.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Awesome.
Can you put your camera on?
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm so afraid I might turn my camera on, then this machine might misbehave. So allow me to just switch it off a little bit and talk without camera. Maybe can you hear me again, Latief?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
and
thank you.
On the next question, because that is like a passionate one for all three of you, I would like to start with Dr. Faith to answer the next question. So please just keep it interactive and transition over to the next panelist as a discussion as if you were in person. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. This is Harun Mwadena from Kilifi County of Kenya. Apologies, I might not turn my video on due to some few technical issues from my side. I'm trying to balance between technical side of it and also to talk. So apologies for that. But I can see my colleagues, Dr. Faith and my friend also shared everything, a lot of things, but there's some of the basic issues I feel we have not shared them, and I feel I should also give these tips to my colleagues, my fellow peers, and young professionals who join this call. So first thing first, just to give you a very background part, let me assume that every one of you are just a beginner. Maybe you are now hoping to join LinkedIn. So first thing first, what you need to do is to have a kind of a professional picture. In this point, I highly recommend that you have a kind of a high quality, friendly, and professional headshot on your profile, because something you need, there's something there's this code that you need to show your first impression for someone or for a stranger to trust you. In this world, there's a lot of people who are kind of online, but they're not using their own profile. So for you to stand up as a human, you need to use your own profile as a headshot. This is so crucial. Please avoid to use group photos. Avoid to use selfies if possible. That's a very important. Next thing, it's about your headline. After your profile photo, the next thing is your full name. Please don't use jokes names. Use your real name. And by using your real name, the next thing it's about headline. You need to provide a compelling headline which will attract people on board, or which will attract and build a quick trust. Remember, you have around 40 seconds to 1 minute for someone to trust you and keep reading. Now, after having this kind of compelling headline, that's not the end. The next point is kind of developing your summary, and already Lucy shared a lot of things about having this kind of a compelling summary. In this, you need to provide overview of your professional background, your skills, achievement, and career goals. You know, it's all about build trust. Before doing anything in LinkedIn, first thing first, you need to build trust with strangers. Remember, you are kind of attracting these strangers to come on board. Okay, I will view your profile, but I'll ask my questions. Why should I engage you? How should I fit you in my space? So that's also, it's very crucial. Sorry, please, if you're not talking, mute yourself to avoid the background noise. Then my next point, it's about experience. Now, this was one of the most important parts for the credibility purpose. Now, you have your headline, you have developing that compelling summary. The next point, it's about experience. About experience now, you need to kind of include the most important thing from your professional journey. And if you're a beginner, you're a student, don't talk about this. What the secret to give is that volunteer or do an intern from these organization companies which are already on LinkedIn or not, then upload or update your LinkedIn with that heading. This is very important. To give you example, I remember some few years back, I volunteered in some of the engagements from a human rights agenda, Utidia. So what I did, I uploaded my LinkedIn profile by just updated like I'm a volunteer for ABC. Okay? If not, you can also come up with your own company, business, register LinkedIn page, then put your titles there. Like if you look my LinkedIn profile, the current title is my consultancy. I was like, now I don't have any professional engagement, so should I stay like that? So for me to remain relevant, I had to register my consultants, then form a LinkedIn page, then put my own titles. So sometimes it's all about being unique. It's all about fixing things quickly. That's a very important thing. The next thing which majority of my speaker did talk about, it's about skills. You need to update your LinkedIn profile with your skills, then request your colleague to endorse those skills. This is a very important thing. And then to finalize, there is a need of you to showcase your achievements, no matter what, just that small thing, small achievement. Upload it, update it, show people that you managed to do ABCD, you managed to achieve this, but these were the challenge. Be human, be real, and don't forget to request for recommendations. Recommendation really helps you a lot. They will really help you a lot to build trust and to attract more credibility also. See, you need to be credible. That's very important part of it. I think I've managed to share a lot of things.
Can you please mute your mic? Sorry, Harun, yeah. Somebody's mic is on. Can you please just mute it? Please switch the speaker, please.
Yeah, I think William, please mute yourself, William. Thank you, William. Yeah, so to finalize everything, as I said, request for recommendation from your colleague employees, request for endorsement of your skills. It's very, very important. And please maintain consistency. Consistency, it's king, and it's because of consistency, majority of young people don't stand up. Maintain consistency. I think the next part of it, I will talk about storytelling part of it. But for now, I think those are some of the few tips. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Harun, for that insight on like the basics of how to build their profiles. That was really good. I hope that has helped a lot of you guys. But I would like to now hear from Dr. Faith as well as Caroline in terms of the content side, specifically like, so for example, them finding a passion that a topic that they really like to speak about, so youth advocacy. But what specifically in youth advocacy would you like to advocate for? Whether it's education, energy, water and sanitation, etc. How can they specifically develop content around what they're passionate about? Because on what I feel is that the youth, they need to understand the 3 top things that they are passionate about in order to develop content that they can consistently post on LinkedIn. So that would help if Faith, Dr. Faith or Caroline, if you can answer that. Thanks.
I can speak if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just start my video. Thank you. I've just made some notes here as the speakers were talking, and they've made some really amazing points, some of which I also had noted before this session. And I'm so glad that they touched on it, because it shows that they are kind of universal practices that we can all adopt when we look at our LinkedIn profiles and our presence online. So one thing that I did want to speak about, and I think Harun mentioned it now, was, you know, when you look at your title on LinkedIn, a lot of people, I think their kind of first knee-jerk reaction would be, I'm just going to make up something now. If you are a administrator at MTN, for example, then they'll put there, my name is Bob Smith and I'm an administrator at MTN. I personally would suggest not doing that because I feel like it is just restricting and not really showing off you as a person, as a professional. It is showing you in the context of your employer. It is kind of highlighting your employer, if I can say that. So I would suggest something like, look at what your main responsibilities are within your job, your main skills, the knowledge that you have, and basically the thing that makes you special in the post that you occupy. It doesn't matter what level, can be a junior, can be a senior level. It doesn't matter the level that you are in, but identify those strengths and those skills and the knowledge that you have that make you excellent at your role, at your job. So instead of just saying, I'm an administrator at MTN, you can say something like, I am a financial bookkeeping specialist with experience in, I don't know, I'm not even a financial person, but just identify those main parts of your job that stand out, you know, that showcase your skills. So you want this to be about you. This is your personal branding. Your LinkedIn page is like your big advert, your advertisement to the world to say, this is me as a professional. This is me in terms of my knowledge and the value that I can bring to you, to your organization, or just to you in a professional sense, right? The other thing was, I think Aatifah, you mentioned it now as well, was just identifying your passions. So in the about section that we have on LinkedIn, that is your place to, because I mean, your title is, it's kind of restrictive. You only have a few words, you know, to identify yourself. That's like your main calling card after your image, after your profile picture. In the about you section or about me section, identify those things that you're passionate about and how they enhance your professional standing and your professional knowledge and experience. So if I take my profile, for example, and keep it very concise. You don't have to write a novel. Keep it to like a paragraph or two. So I just say that I have X amount of experience in these fields. They are specialist fields, but I don't make it too specific talking about the jobs and the companies I worked for, like the specific roles. I just talk about the field generally, that I'm a specialist in, how many years I have. And it tells you about my experience and my value that I can bring to you and my knowledge and my expertise. And then also make it personal. Like, you are not a robot, you are a person, and you bring your personality to your work that you do. You bring your personality to every part of your life as yourself as a person and to your professional life. So bring a bit of you into that about me section. My one, for example, says that I just die when I see incorrect punctuation. Like, it's something that just makes me mad. So I just put it in there at the end as a little funny thing. So it shows you the things that I care about, and it also gives you insight to me as a person, my personality. I'm like funny or something like that. Yeah, and then just in terms of other parts of your LinkedIn profile and how to build that up, identify interests or things that you are interested in. LinkedIn has a bunch of different options that you can choose from, and I think you can choose up to 30 or 40 interests. I could be wrong on the number, but there's a lot of interests that you can tick off, like I'm interested in animal welfare, I'm interested in youth development. There's so many options you can choose from. And by choosing those interests and ticking them off on your profile, LinkedIn, like the way LinkedIn works, it will automatically suggest people or pages to you that match those interests. And you can start following those people or those pages or those organizations. And that's also how you can build up your networks within those specific fields of interest that you have. Yeah, I don't know if there's a couple of other things I wanted to mention as well, but perhaps I will leave them to the next question that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Caroline. That was really insightful and helpful, obviously, in terms of briefly mentioning how one can build your LinkedIn profile to make it more, what can I say, exciting and interesting, and obviously like capturing the person that is adding you on LinkedIn or viewing your profile probably for a future prospective job. It's really important to work on developing your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to mention the last question for this session. And just to remind the audience that if you have any questions, please write them down or type them in the IM, and it will be addressed at the end of this entire session. So for final comments on the last question is obviously about, sorry, I scrolled up my notes, is about maximizing LinkedIn for your job search and advancement. So the question is, how can LinkedIn's job search features be utilized effectively to discover relevant job opportunities and gain competitive edge in the job market, ultimately advancing one's career? I'll hand this over to Dr. Faith to give insight on that. But I obviously, when you are, just a comment on that before I hand over to Dr. Faith, is checking that the filters within your job search is relevant to what you would like to do, and it obviously links to your profile itself. So take it away, Dr. Faith.
Okay, so I would just leave the video off so that it may help the reception. Are you able to hear me now? I'm in the network.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay,
Thanks.
I think it's better now. So awesome insights from the speakers so far. So the thing around using or leveraging LinkedIn for job search. So I'm not a fan of I'm on LinkedIn just to get a job. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of adding value so that you can capture value. And because some of us, we tried doing this, I'm here to get a job thing. So if you're on LinkedIn with the right mindset, so the mindset I would like everyone to live here with is you're on LinkedIn to make connections and build your network, and then add value so that you can also capture value. Whatever it is that you want to do, whether it is that you're looking for a job or you want to advance your business. And that's the area that I always like to talk about. Somebody can just come on LinkedIn and he wants to apply for jobs. It's good, but what are the things that you need to be doing so that by the time you start applying for jobs, you will be able to get value, from it. And good thing that speakers here, they've also highlighted the things that you need to do on your profile in terms of fixing your headline, your about me and all that. But there are no rules here. It comes in different ways. Someone may just use a particular title to display for their headline, and it works for them. Somebody may use a full line. It works for them. Somebody may use different ways of capturing what they are doing. It works for them. So, but it's not all about the profile optimization as far the way how beautiful it is looking. It's about the person behind the scene, person behind what we could just open and see. I've also seen people talk so much around your professional picture and all that. So what also I will also make people understand is when you talk about professional picture or image, it also revolves around what you do. So if you're an engineer, where you have your gown, you know, you could be your professional picture. If you have your kids, then if you're a doctor, the same. So you must not be with tie and then looking too serious before you look professional. It's all about how, you know, what you do that will define how professional that would be. If you're into fashion, then seeing you in your shop or in your business with your tailoring outfit and all that, that's also your professional picture. So when we define professional, don't go and be doing studio. It's not about going to do studio picture and then putting it out there. You can also use your profile picture to even capture what it takes that you're doing right, you know, behind. Then also, I want to quickly talk on something that Harun also mentioned for young people now, that before you get, you know, attention, you need to display what you've been able to do, value. And talking about value, one of the challenges that young people have when they come on board is, I do not have so much experience to display. So how do I go about it? And that's where that volunteering comes in, like you said. It's very important that you would start. There are a lot of opportunities opening up. You need to volunteer more so that you'll be able to have something to show, you know, not that you're lying, but these are the things that you have done. Or you can also pick internship positions, opportunities. Then talking about how to leverage this now in your job search. Remember, once you apply for a job, the person that has created, normally when I want to hire on using LinkedIn, so I've done several recruitments using LinkedIn. Normally when I want to do that, once somebody applies, it comes to me, then I will be able to go to your profile. Remember, it is your profile that will now, it is your profile, and when we talk about profile, we mean your digital footprint. So for all of us today, we have what we call digital identity, and that is our currency, that's our digital currency. So what are those digital identity? Outside your profile, your optimization, your headline, your about me, then what value are you putting out? Your content, right? Engagement. If you're not that good in writing content, you can also tell stories around the things you're doing. From storytelling, you can also have an awesome, you know, content out there. But outside all this, start engaging. Those areas, depending on what you are on LinkedIn for. If you're on LinkedIn for job search, if you're LinkedIn to display what you do as a freelancer, as an individual professional, or you are building your business, your company, whatever it is that you want to leverage LinkedIn for, begin to follow those people who are within that space, like minds, and begin to check those that are active. That active, I mean that are, you know, putting out content there, and begin to engage, drop constructive comments, right? Those are the things that would connect. For instance, if you come to my inbox and say, I'm looking for, I've been following you for a while, and I've seen what you're doing. I'm looking for an opportunity in this space. So when you tell me you've been following me for some time, and you've been seeing what I'm doing, and you've also been seeing my post very insightful, what you're trying to let me know is that you've been hanging around, and you've been capturing value, and you've been, you know, we have had that relationship, which is what takes me back to relationship. The 3 C's, I will also quickly mention them: connect, contribute, and communicate. So first thing is that you connect, make your first connection, then you start contributing. That is adding value. And one of the ways that you add value is that you engage on people's posts constructively. When you notice that they are celebrating, you also celebrate with them, right? You can also do a post, do a shout out post for somebody if you're good at content. So all these are the things that you need to do. And then by the time you would have written such a message to someone and say, I have been following you, and I've been seeing that your posts are insightful and all that, then what that means is that I will go and, you know, double check what you've said. Most times when I see those messages coming, I will check and see truly if this person has been, you know, very active around my activities, and that establishes a contact. I come back to you, and whatever it is that you're looking for, believe you me, even if I'm not able to offer it, there are also suggestions or recommendations that I can make. And that's how to build, you know, relationship, and also to capture value. So we must understand that outside just painting our profiles and then beautifying them, finding good logos and all that. That is fine. But who is the person behind all that? And we need to quickly begin to build values around, engagement. What are the things that you've worked on? Put them out, let people know. So when they open your profile, they get to see something, not just that you have put a profile that looks inviting, but there is nothing to keep the person when the person finally gets to your profile. So job search, you could open your job search features and then apply. But after applying, the person that is going to take you in will also come back to your profile, and it's all about your activities. Back to you, Aatifah.
Thank you so much for that insight, Dr. Faith. If there are any closing comments per se on the section about the power of digital, Lucy, do you have any final comments? Okay, I'll take the silence as a no. Dr. Faith, do you have any final comments on this section? I take that as a no. And Harun,
yes, final.
Yeah. Okay. Go
final
ahead.
Comment. Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Final comment. Final comment is to reiterate that the journey on LinkedIn starts with knowing why you're on LinkedIn. Define the purpose why you're on LinkedIn, and that purpose why you're on LinkedIn will guide your actions and your activities. Do not when you want to look at somebody, it's not like you're going to copy another person. Have your own unique. When I have sections with entrepreneurs that wants to leverage LinkedIn, I tell them that you need to have a brand story that resonates with what it is that is your purpose. So at the end of the day, you need to have a purpose as to why you are on LinkedIn. Is it for job search? Is it for your business? Is it because you're a freelancer and you want to get gigs? So whatever it is, that will guide your activities. Have your purpose and then utilize the 3 C's. Connect before you begin to communicate what you need. First, contribute before you communicate. Oh, I need a job. Let me know that you have also engaged. You have been hanging around before you start demanding what you need. That's an awesome way of building a healthy relationship on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Faith. Really insightful. Oh, Harun, you have something to say. Go ahead, final comments.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to share final comments, a very important part of it, if possible, take notes. First thing you need to understand is that LinkedIn is a dynamic platform. So it's essential to regularly review and update your profile to reflect your professional growth and goal. By optimizing your LinkedIn profile and actively engaging with the LinkedIn community, you can increase your visibility, you can attract career opportunities, and nurture your valuable professional relationship. Just to give example, all of us, we just met via LinkedIn. I first met with Simon via LinkedIn. I met with Latief via LinkedIn. I met with Dr. Faith. Each one of us here, we have met via LinkedIn. We don't know each other. So how did we do this? How did Simon trust me and gave me an opportunity to be part of the Youth Energy Summit? It's because of that consistency and always updating my profile. So it's a journey you need to walk. It's not a one-time event. It's a journey you need to always update. You need to always be consistent. And lastly, be authentic. Tell your own story and connect it with your professional journey. Share your vulnerability to connect emotionally with your connection and strangers. Someone must resonate your post and what they're doing. It's about what value are you bringing on board. Thank you so much. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Harun. I would just like to find out lastly from Caroline, you said you wanted to elaborate on more aspects of LinkedIn. So your final comments on that, and then we'll close this topic and move on to cover letter and CV writing by Salma Abbas.
Yeah, I'll be very, very brief. I just wanted to also say that we need to be aware of our other social media presences as well, our other social media accounts. So if you've got something like Facebook or Instagram or any other social media, just be aware of what goes on there, because sometimes people also go to your other socials, they look you up. So just make sure that those social media profiles, even though they're personal, that they reflect the person that you want to show to the world. Otherwise, you always have the option to make things private. And then my last three things: LinkedIn is not a dating site. I've come across multiple posts. LinkedIn is not a dating site. LinkedIn is not a place to flirt with people and try and do that. So just remember, what is your purpose of using LinkedIn? And then things are not failures. They are merely lessons in life. They are stepping stones to help us achieve greater things. So if you have a setback, don't take it personally. Don't think of it as a mistake or a failure. It is a lesson in life. And I think somebody mentioned earlier at the beginning, if you don't get the outcomes that you are hoping to achieve, don't take it personally. It's not a reflection of you as a person. Just build on that and identify where you can improve and what you can improve. And best of luck to everybody. And I just wish them all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Caroline. Yes, it's so true. Some people use LinkedIn to get a partner. It's really frustrating because it's more of a professional platform, and very good point on other social media pages, because yes, when your prospective job applicant, they will look at your social media pages. So if you do not want to show your personal life on Instagram, Facebook, I suggest making it private. But if you have nothing to hide, you're authentic in your story, then feel free to keep it open. Thank you so much to the panelists for discussing the power of digital, and specifically on LinkedIn itself and how it can benefit our youth today and those who are unemployed that are seeking a professional advancement in their careers. So I will now hand over to Salma. She is from Egypt, Northern Africa. So she'll be speaking about cover letter and CV writing. So please take good note of what she has to say. Welcome, Salma. Go ahead. You currently on mute. Sorry, I can see your mic is on mute. So just
hi everyone. Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you, Aatifah, and hello everyone, and welcome to the CV and cover letter writing part. So first of all, we will begin with CV writing. If someone can please have the next slide displaying for the participants.
Harun, can you please arrange? Or Simon?
Okay, so we will begin with the CV writing. And first of all, let's all agree that there's actually several types of CV presentations according to your country and level of expertise. And mainly we will focus on the most two formats. Can we please go back to the first slide? So we will focus mainly on two formats. There is the European style format, which is called a CV, and this is mainly used in Europe, Africa, Middle East. And then there is the US format, which is more used in the US, Canada, and Australia, and it's called a resume. And also your level of experience influences the order and focus of some sections in your CV or resume. So let's start with the general sections of what a CV looks like. So we have mainly 5 sections, which are crucial in a CV. The first one is the contact information, where you have your full name and how a recruiter can contact you. In this section, please make sure to include a professional email. And so not the emails that we created when we were 16 years old, but something more professional with your full name, because that leaves an impression in front of the recruiter. And then we do have the education section or the professional section, which is like the work experience. And so these two sections differ in displaying according to your level of experience. So it depends if you are a fresh grad or an experienced professional and what you want to highlight here and there. And so there's also the sections where you highlight your research interests, your teaching or lecture experience. And this is for like an academic CV. And then we do have the section where we have key skills and capability areas. And this is where you highlight your own skills and language skills. And then there's a section where you would highlight your extracurricular activities, the conferences and the courses that you attended, any grants or fellowships that you had, which demonstrate your academic excellence, or a fellowship which is a professional one, which demonstrates your professional skills. And then there's also an optional section in the CV, which is the references. So whether they're academic or professional, this is an optional section, so not everybody includes them in the CV, but sometimes it's good to include it so the recruiter can actually contact people that have worked with you or have supervised you during university, so they can give more information on your skills to the recruiter of the job that you're applying for. We also do have the CV format in a chronological list. So reverse chronological order, which means that we start with the most recent job listed first, or the most recent education listed first in your CV, and then you go back to the past ones. So this is mainly for an academic or a fresh graduate CV. And then on the other side, there's the functional resumes focus, which focuses on skills and experience rather than on just like the employment history. So it combines the list of skills and qualification first, followed by your work history. And this is for working professionals that have like 5 or 10 years of experience. So let's go to the next slide, please. And let's talk about the examples of the CVs listed. So for example, we do have on the left a fresh graduate CV example. So if you are a student or if you are a fresh grad, you will focus more on your educational background and details related to your field of studies and achieved academic results if you're looking for an internship in the same field where you studied. And also you will try to demonstrate the skills that you can bring to the internship. And some people think, oh, how can I do that while studying or while I'm a student? And so this can be demonstrated by several points. The first one is by being active in extracurricular activities and demonstrating in your CV what kind of skills did you gain from this activity and how you can apply it in a professional field. So for example, skills that you can gain from activities and are very useful in the professional atmosphere is teamwork, presentation skills, working under tight deadlines, or coordinating several projects. And so you can highlight that under the sections of conferences and courses, or the skills, then you highlight the activity that you were at, what you were doing in this activity in bullet points. And then also you can highlight your language knowledge and level of fluency. And so all of this, if you are a student or a fresh grad and you're looking for your first internship after graduating or while you're finishing your university. And then if you are a junior professional, you will focus more on your job responsibilities and qualifications. and so we can see here that there are two examples, and you will see how it's different in the construction of the CV. And so for the fresh grad, it's the education that that is highlighted first, and then if you have any work experience, even if it's not an extensive one, and then the skills, whether the languages or the professional skills that can be applied, or the technical skills as well. And so where you highlight what computer skills do you have, or what digital tools can you use and can be useful in the job that you're applying for, or the internship that you're applying for. Versus a working professional CV, you will see that it's constructed differently. So they do highlight on the right achievements. So this is the achievement out of the previous work experiences that they had. And so this is important to highlight if you have an extensive work experience, to highlight the results that you achieved during that work, and to also include a summary of your profile at the beginning of your CV. So this on the right for the working professional can be considered as CV/resume. So there are like three main differences between a CV and a resume. And mainly the differences are in the formatting and how you present the information. So in the resume format, you need to include a summary paragraph at the beginning, as we can see. And a resume focuses more on quantifiable achievements in your work and your qualifications, instead of just listing your work responsibilities. And in resumes, we don't include a picture, unlike CVs. And so a resume is also a one page. So it's a resume of your profile. And this is why it focuses on quantifiables, results, achievements, and work. And it's mainly used by professionals with extensive work experience, versus a CV, which focuses more on your education and responsibilities at work. And it is more widely used in Africa and the Middle East, and for graduates or junior professionals. Either way, you need to demonstrate your skills, what you can do for the job that you're applying for, and how your education relates to the position that you want. And an example of the impact on that, on the recruiter is, for example, instead of saying I was responsible for the sales of the department of XX company, you should start with an action verb and include concrete numbers. So for example, I increased the sales of a certain product by 30% within the first quarter. The impact of the results that you mentioned on the recruiters is different than a general statement, as it demonstrates your capabilities and what you actually achieved during a previous internship or during your previous work experience. And that is also applicable from an activity standpoint. So if you were a student and you were active in a university activity or Model United Nations, you can demonstrate that you gained presentation skills and that you presented a certain topic in front of 30 persons for a certain topic, around a certain topic, and that made you gain public speaking skills and advanced presentation skills. There are also some general tips whether you will send a CV or a resume. So make sure that your CV is concise, well structured, and professional. So it's always advised to have like a maximum of 2 pages in a CV, and a 1-page resume, because the average time that a recruiter spends on a CV is 10 to 30 seconds maximum. So you have to be short and to the point to grab their attention and make them want to know more about you. Proofread your CV, as this is your recruiter first impression of you. So double check for errors, then ask someone else to proofread it for you if you cannot do that, because HR disregards a CV when they find grammatical errors or an unprofessional photo. So please make sure to not put your Facebook profile as your CV photo, because I've seen this during my professional life. So make sure to have a professional photo on your CV. Make sure to grammatically write the sentences in bullet points and be concise and to the point. And so this is an overview of how to write a CV, what is the difference between a CV and a resume. And so now let's take a quick look on how to write a cover letter. And let's start with the purpose. So why do some companies or organizations ask you to write a cover letter? So the purpose of, can we go to the next slide, please? Yes, this one, thank you. So the purpose of the cover letter is to stand out from the crowd, from other applicants, and show the recruiter why they should choose you instead of someone else. Because for a position, even an internship, actually, you will find from minimum 50 to 100 applicants for the same position or the same internship. So how can you stand out from the rest? Your cover letter should explain why you want the job and what you can offer to the employer in this internship or during this job. So you need to read and research well the company that you're targeting through their website. What kind of projects are they working on? What are their field of interest they are focusing on to highlight in the cover letter. Also, you should highlight your skills, qualifications, and experiences relevant to the job. And this is where it should be different from the CV. So in a CV, you just list the skills that you have with a one bullet point, just to clarify it. Where in the cover letter, you should provide concrete examples. So, and elaborate more on the skill and how you can actually implement it in the job. So read the advertisement of the job or the internship that you're applying for very well, and make sure to take notes on what they're actually looking for to understand the specific capabilities, skills, and experience required. And then you can provide relevant examples of how you've used your skills and built experience that matches the requirements of that position. And also don't forget that HR know that fresh grads or junior professionals don't have enough experience. And so your cover letter can demonstrate or recognize skills and capabilities that are gained through voluntary work, community work, extracurricular activities. And so don't forget to draw from these activities or that voluntary work examples that can be also relevant to the skills that are required by the job or the internship. And again, your cover letter should be short, clear, concise, and relevant. And so do not write a publication of 2 to 3 pages for the cover letter, because nobody has the time to actually read all of that, because they have a 50 to 70 applicants, and HR has a lot of work to do filtering the applications and going through CVs and cover letters. And like I mentioned before, it just takes a recruiter from 10 to 30 seconds, so that's half a minute maximum to go through a CV. And so you need to grab their attention and be concise and short, whether in your CV or whether in your cover letter. And so do not have a 5-page CV, do not have a 5-page cover letter. a maximum of 1-page cover letter is enough, and that is the maximum. So it goes between a half page and a page. And stand out from the other applicants by providing clear information relevant to the role. And so don't just talk in general. Be concise about what are your qualifications and what are the qualifications of the job and how they are related together, because HR want to know exactly why you would be a great fit to the company. There is no perfect match. There is no 100% fit. So do not be discouraged if you find an internship or a job where, for example, you match an 80% of the job description and the qualifications or skills required, and you don't have the 20% remaining. Don't be discouraged, because how the HR looks at it is that they will be looking for a great fit, the best match, but not a perfect match. So if you do match an 80% of the job, go ahead and apply for it and work on your application, because the recruiters also know that there's also has to be a 10 to 20% growth in the job or the internship where you learn. So it's a giving and learning dynamic. And so promote yourself and tell the recruiter what you're good at, because this is your chance to tell him or her why they should interview you, and make them want to know more. And please make sure not to pass 1 page. And so upon concluding that, let's conclude with simple steps for the cover letter. First of all, customize your header based on the format of your application. So if you're writing your cover letter directly within an online job application, for example, there's no need to include your address and other contact information, because that was mentioned before. You already typed it somewhere else. But if you're including your cover letter as an attachment to an email, then you can use the same heading as your CV, where your contact information is highlighted. And also, please use an appropriate and professional greeting to start your cover letter. So for example, if you know the name of the recruiter, then you will mention their name and start with dear and their name. Sometimes the recruiter name is mentioned on the job application. But in case if it's not mentioned and you don't know the name of the recruiter or the hiring manager, then you can begin your letter with a simple "Dear hiring manager" and then start speaking. Also, it's always better to use action verbs and not passive ones to describe your experience. So, for example, you would say, in my current job, I led the development of a certain project or a certain initiative, and you describe the initiative very briefly. I assembled a team of X number of people who were who worked on this project and contributed to, for example, a 25% reduction in cost, for example, within 6 months. So this is where we say you use action verbs, but you also use quantifiable achievements or results. And so this demonstrates that you know what you're doing. It demonstrates the impact that you had in the job or the previous internship that you had. And so always use action verbs and not passive ones, not general ones. And then at the end, proofread and keep it short. Again, most recruiters disregard cover letters or CVs that have grammatical mistakes. So this was an overview of the CV writing, cover letter writing, and I hope this section was helpful for you. And if you have any specific questions, please make sure to ask them at the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Salma. I can see that a few people have been writing notes from those who have their cameras on. So it has been a great help for them. I would like to move on to the next panel discussion because we are running out of time. So we'll keep it brief. In terms of the next session, it will focus on public speaking. So I'd like to ask the panelists who are Harun, Dr. Faith, Lucy, and Simon. Going first with Simon, could you please give us your top 3 tips for public speaking? Thanks.
I think I've got everything.
Simon, are you there?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Cool.
You got me?
You now.
Okay, good. Not used LinkedIn for Zoom for a while, so it keeps changing. There we go. There. Great. So top three points around public speaking. Keep it brief, to the point. I think is probably one of the top ones. We obviously host a lot of events, and the amount of people who talk for too long, they don't realize that they're actually losing the room. So keeping it short and punchy and to the point, I would say, is absolutely key. Have a really good knowledge of your topic and what you're talking about is essential. I think, you know, some of the other panelists talked about passions and things like this. I mean, really, you know, if it's not your passion, you're going to have to research it, but really kind of talk from your own experiences and know your topic is number 2. And number 3, one of the things I'm accused of mostly is talking too fast. So I have to keep reminding myself just to slow it down, be really clear, and accentuate the particular areas. Make sure that you get people's attention, so that they can hear what you're saying and understand what you're saying. So they would be my 3 main attributes of a good public speaker.
Thank you, Simon. Yes, I agree with the keeping it straight to the point and short. It is really important that if you want to get a point across, not to go around in circles until you reach that point. Salma, you have your hand up. You are welcome to unmute.
Yes. Great tips. I do also have another tip. Do not think that the people that present in big conferences or stand-up comedians or anyone who is their job is to present, that they just go on stage and present and they just have the talent. It's not just a talent, it's also preparations. So always prepare what you are going to speak about. You can have like small notes in your hands. You're not going to write the whole speech, but you need to have bullet points of the main points that you are going to touch upon in your public speaking or your presentation. I think that's always helpful to organize your thoughts and make better communication to the participants or the public that you're going to speak in front of. So that is what that came to my mind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salma. Yes, it is right. And to add to that, I think confidence is key. So speak like nobody's watching, like be your authentic self, because that ties in with storytelling. And I feel that Dr. Faith has his hand up and he would probably like to touch on storytelling as well as Harun. So Dr. Faith, go ahead.
Yes, just to add to the thieves for public speaking, it to know your audience. You need to really understand the audience that you are speaking to. That would inform you on how you would want to go about in engaging the audience. So the nature of audience you have would give you an insight as to the kind of choice of words also, and also how you communicate, right? So these are things that you need to, because what you would do when you have a set of professionals who are well grounded in a particular subject matter may not be what you want to do with the newbies who are coming in that space. So it all depends on the audience that you are going to speak to. So you take your time to research. So part of the preparation would be for you to also understand your audience, know your audience. That's quickly what I want to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Faith. Yes, it's definitely important to know your audience, because so that you are telling the right information to the proposed audience so that you can prepare well in advance. I will hand over to Harun. Your thoughts on public speaking, specifically authentic storytelling?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I highly appreciate it. And thank you so much, guys, my fellow speakers, for sharing insightful thoughts. From my side, I might not share anything about public speaking because I'm also learning how to be an effective public speaker. From my side, I'm that person. I love do technical things, but when it comes to public engagement, I used to shy off. So I'm just taking notes, learning from my colleague, but I will share more how to tell you authentic storytelling via social media next part of it. So let me hand over this to Lucy. I know Lucy will share some juicy content. Welcome, Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Harun. Maybe to start with, public speaking is an essential skill that can open doors to countless of opportunities and personal growth. And confidence is actually the key that unlocks the doors to success in public speaking, whereby confidence. Okay, thank you. Okay. Confidence is not about being perfect. It's not about being, it's more about being comfortable with who you are and what you are presenting. By practicing, preparing, believing in yourself, you can show confidence in every way during public speaking. And maybe confidence, I'll actually emphasize more on what Simon has said. There's so many aspects that can make you have more confidence during public speaking. For instance, having a clear understanding of the content that you're going to share. So for you to be confident in public speaking, you have to gather information and clear tools of what you're presenting, whether it's a presentation, whether it's an engagement you're doing with the other thing, it's about being authentic. That is, be you, embrace your uniqueness, share your message with passion, and connect with your audience at a personal level. That brings us to maybe the third tip that I'll share about being, not per se being a perfectionist in public speaking, but one of the key tips that can help you is starting your speech with a strong message. So for you, this is actually most of the things that these big speakers and everyone who is very key on public speaking, that is what they do. They start their public speaking with a key message so that they can get the attention of the audience. And from that, now you will start engaging with your audience and ensure that everything you're sharing, it's more of interacting with them so that they can also give you and listening ear, and so that your speech or whichever engagement, whether it's a presentation or whichever thing you're doing, it's going to be of impact. So have confidence, prepare effectively, be authentic, and start with a very strong message. Thank you.
Lucy,
Thank you for that, Lucy.
Sorry, Lucy.
Yes, Simon, go ahead.
Thank you, Lucy. You're so right. I think that is such a critical point. You know, we have a saying that we use in the business: don't let perfection get in the way of good. You know, you're not going to be perfect first time. You know, it's about building confidence. And if we look at it from the audience perspective, nobody wants you to fail. I don't know if anybody's spoken at a wedding or anything like this, but when you see people struggling up on stage, the audience feels it. Nobody wants you to fail. Everybody is behind you. That whole room wants you to succeed. They want you to be amazing. And I think, you know, when you start on this journey, you know, whether it's public speaking or whatever it is, I think it kind of, you have to be able to recognize that nobody in that room wants you to fail. They're all behind you. They all want you to be the best that you can be. And that just fills you with confidence. So whenever you take to the stage or do anything, just remember everybody is behind you and everybody wants you to succeed.
I wanted a minute, moderator.
Yes, go on, go on.
Maybe I could add on something. As you practice on being a good as we practice on being a good public speaker, we have to realize that it's a journey that you will grow and you will improve. So you have to embrace the challenges, you have to watch your confidence so into new heights and transforming you into a impactful and a very powerful speaker. So you cannot just start today and you want to be the likes of Jim Rohn and everyone. You have to, you see, stop comparing yourself with everyone and just know that it's a journey. So you have to pay the price each and every single day.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. Before Caroline, before you go, I just want to comment on how everything that the speakers have mentioned in terms of public speaking, how it ties into going for an interview or presenting a business proposal. So you obviously need to study what you are going to present to your audience so that they can buy in. If they can see that you buy into what you have to say, then that speaks volumes. It's most likely that they would want to do business with you because they can see that you believe in yourself, you believe in what you are speaking about. That ties into your confidence, into going for an interview, doing a business proposal, just also that ties in well into your own brand. So if you know your brand is Sustainable Development Goal 4, and if you can effectively tell your passion to the audience, 100% they will lock in and load onto you. So speak with confidence. And I feel like that is the common thread throughout everything that we have spoken about, is to speak with confidence and prepare. Caroline, I hand over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on imposter syndrome, which I put in the chat bar. It's something that I think many of us at some point have struggled with. We think, you know, there's this voice in our head that says you're not good enough, you can't do this. People are going to find out that you can't actually do what you say you can do, what they think you can do. And it actually holds us back. And it's just that little voice in our head. Nobody has ever said that we are bad at something. In fact, people tell us we are great and amazing at whatever we are doing, be it public speaking or whatever. And it comes down to confidence again. And we sometimes sabotage ourselves. And I know it comes down to sometimes childhood trauma or other things that have happened in our lives that we may not even be aware of. But I know myself, I've struggled with imposter syndrome in my life. And it's something that I constantly have to work on all the time. And even public speaking for me is a bit difficult and challenging because I am not naturally that kind of person. So I think it's something that we just need to, I think, become more self-aware of ourselves as people, and how we react to things and how we do things, and also just that little voice in our head and how we view ourselves. And I think sometimes I received great advice from somebody one day who said that, you know, the way you look at yourself is always in a negative light, or the way that we view ourselves is always in a more negative light than the way people outside, people in our lives see us. They see the greatness in us. And I think Simon mentioned that when you go on stage to speak, people want you to succeed. Nobody wants you to fail. But yet we kind of, in our minds, deep down, think that we are going to fail and that we're so bad at things. So I think just being aware of imposter syndrome and being aware of that little negative voice that kind of tries to get to us, we need to cultivate habits, I think, that just reinforces for ourselves our own greatness and our own potential of what we are able to achieve. Thanks.
Thank you, Caroline. Before I hand over to Harun to speak about authentic storytelling, I wanted to say that when I started out in the public sector and meeting stakeholders, I was very shy. I didn't have confidence in what I was saying. And because during my student in-service training, I sat in a reception area, and I got to know everyone in the environmental management team, because that's what I studied. And I got to know the managers on a personal level. We had coffee and tea together. And from there, I realized the importance of networking and actually just speaking your truth about what you believe in. And up until today, I still have those connections, and those people have built their careers like really strong. So I'm proud to say that over time, through that experience of sitting in a reception area, having to interact with people all the time, it built my confidence in speaking, and people actually wanted to learn or hear what I had to say. So yeah, like Simon said in the message section, that people don't buy what you sell, they buy what you believe in. So believe in yourself and everyone else will believe in you. So Harun, over to you.
Hello, thank you so much. I really appreciate for this opportunity. Actually, my notebook is full with a lot of lesson thoughts and best practices. Thank you so much for my fellow speakers to share the thoughts. Okay, let me share something very unique, something very special. I understand that Africa is one of the most diverse continents, and some will be able to talk public freely with full confidence. But some of us, we might a little bit shy away from engaging from public, but we might have that best writing skills. So how can you leverage your writing skills for you to rise and be visible? So allow me to share the power of authentic storytelling to connect with your audience at a very deeper level and strengthen human connection. Remember, as I said earlier, about first build trust. Why should we trust you? Why should we engage you? You see, first thing first, point number one, you always need to know your audience. From the public engagement, when you're talking, you need to know your audience. Also, when you're writing, you need to know your audience via LinkedIn. So who are your audience in LinkedIn? To give example from my side, the majority of the audience are policymakers, decision makers, and funders. So I use my story to inform them that, yes, you are doing ABCD, but this is the real story of young leaders and how we are struggling in Africa. That's been my part of my journey. That's why if you read my LinkedIn, it's more of authentic storytelling. Next thing, authenticity is key. Be real, be you. Don't forge, don't lie. Because at the end of it, we will know. And remember, you build trust once. Once you destroy that trust, that's it. So make sure you maintain this trust, which it's one of the most valuable currency. Next thing, it's about goal and purpose. What's your goal and what's your purpose to draft that LinkedIn post? Remember, social media, it's a very strong platform, which can either make you a great person or it can destroy you completely. As I told you, all my posts is either to inspire, fellow young leaders or to inform policymakers, decision makers, and funders. So always have a goal. Before you post it, ask yourself, why am I posting this post? What's the purpose behind this post? Once you have that clear in mind, now you'll be ready to go. Infuse, infuse multimedia elements. Put photos, put videos, but make sure those videos and photos are relevant with your post. Someone should view your post, that picture, and should understand why you post that picture before even reading your profile. Value. LinkedIn, it's about value. What value are you bringing on board? Remember, you're connecting with serious professionals. Avoid highs. By the way, I've been receiving a lot of highs, and because of my busy schedule, sometimes I just ignore those highs. See, so be straightforward. Hey, I'm this person. I'm approaching to you because I want to do ABCD, or I want to offer this, or I'm requesting for this help. Be specific, straight to the point. Another main point, two things, dialogue and consistency. Always drive dialogue via your post. Post question, post challenge. Engage participants via the comment section. Let them experience their feelings. Let them talk, okay? And lastly, consistency is king. This is the one thing where most fellow peers fail. They really fail to maintain consistency. Consistency in LinkedIn or any other social media handles really help to build trust and bring that organic connection. You need to understand one thing. It takes time. This is not a one-thing engagement. I started my LinkedIn professional seriously this year on January. January, February, March, I said that let me be serious with my LinkedIn profile. Let me update everything. Let me share my stories. Let me share opportunities to my fellow peers. And it's because of this, now I'm making a living via LinkedIn. I'm not an unemployed person. I'm a self-employed just because of LinkedIn. And it's because of telling that really story which people can resonate with, you see? Sharing opportunities, bring value on board. I think I've shared enough points, and thank you so much. Back to you, our moderator.
Okay, thank you, Harun, for those points. I think that will really help the audience. I would like you for us to go into your personal stories, and that will probably give the audience an insight how to tell your authentic story, like how did you grow from not having any opportunities or having opportunities and going through a struggle and actually using that struggle as your authentic story, speaking your truth to build your connections on LinkedIn. So firstly, before you do go, I would like Dr. Faith to speak about his story, which is youth economics for the Africa we want. So, Dr. Faith, you can go ahead and tell us your story.
Thank you, moderator, and everyone that has stayed till now, about 38 of us. This is a section that I'm so passionate about. It's something personal. So you would say youth economists for the Africa we want. My story is that resonates with, I believe that resonates with almost every young African growing. I was born in rural village of Eastern Nigeria, West Africa. My parents were peasant farmers as at then, and we had a very challenging times, as it were. My father couldn't finish his, couldn't get into secondary school because his own father couldn't afford to train him. So I'm a first generation graduate, both from my father's side and my mother's side. So when I got into university, my dad made up his mind that he was going to support and see us through school. So with his farming with my mom, and also combining it with palm kernel trading, which I also learned to support the family. He was able to get me to the university. I'm the first child. So while in university, I also discovered that I needed to also support the family. So I started trading on some food supplements and some items to support what I was getting from my parents. So when I finished the university, I came out with second class upper division economics. So the thinking has always been that in less than 6 months, I was going to land my dream job. But 6 months turned to 6 years. First year, second year, third, fourth, fifth. And 6 years, nothing. There was no decent work that I could access. So what I was doing within that period was to get involved I was volunteering. I was going to different secondary schools teaching students for free. And then I also had some ones that paid me. I'm just, keeping myself busy and waiting for a day that I would get that dream job. So one day I got an email from Union Bank of Nigeria PLC, and that's how I got myself into the corporate world. So this experience of looking for a job for complete 6 years left something in me, and that is, it wasn't just a problem for me alone. It was a challenge for many young people out there that were leaving school and having problems securing job opportunities. So with my background in economics and also interest in education, I started researching on what are the causes of youth unemployment in Africa, Nigeria, Africa. And then I did some comparative study with countries like Germany. I did a comparative study on Canada and Australia, and I discovered one pattern, that they were so keen about practical-based education training, whereas for us, we were so keen about theory or theoretical-based training. So that also left in me to understand that the problem of skill gaps was actually the problem why many people, when they leave school here, they find it so difficult to get into the work space. So I decided to replicate that to see how we'll be able to introduce practical-based training to support young people. But the question was platform and how to go about it. So when I left banking in 2017, somewhat I got myself on LinkedIn, which is why I talk so much on LinkedIn and the fact that LinkedIn is an amazing platform. And when I looked around, I came in because I needed something. I've had the family already, so I needed something to keep my family running. So I was all about looking for a job and all that. But at the time, it just connected that I needed to start working on building my network and connecting with real people that will also, offer value so that I can capture value. So with that, I started putting myself out there. So the experience that I had of job hunting for 6 years was the key to also bringing out myself. So I started telling that story over and over again. And that story created Youthup Global. Youthup Global started primarily to support young people in order for them to access opportunities, especially around education and entrepreneurship, because I discovered that if we get it right from education and then empower people as entrepreneurs, that one side we are bringing the right talent, the other side we're bringing the job creators, and we'll be able to address the problem of youth unemployment. So Youthup Global came, and then we started the piloting, helping young people through volunteering. So we called for volunteers, they came on board. And then through internship programs that we were having to communicate with organizations, that we have a pool of young people that are interested to learn on the job. And they were opening opportunities for them. And that's how we piloted that program for 2 years before we now started thinking of creating it as a separate body, which is called Utidia, where we are now doing a lot around apprenticeship programs, internship programs, mentorship programs to support young people, to arm them on practical skills. So when this were happening, the concept of youth economies came in. And as I started studying the Africa We Want agenda, then I studied the Agenda 2063 keenly, and then discovered that for us to build, there are 7 aspirations in that agenda. And the first aspiration is about building a prosperous Africa. And then if you look at the goals, things that are to be done to achieve this aspiration, one of it is that we must invest in youth development and skill development. So I now keyed in this agenda to what we're also doing and what my experience also, is, or what my experience has been. And that's how this youth economies came in, which is, of course, saying that young people, no matter the challenge you have, no matter where you're coming from, that you can contribute, that the world is waiting for you. Just like Simon said, everybody wants you to succeed. The world wants to succeed. So you have that mindset. So you call on young people to participate, to work together. So it's about youth and economy, that you cannot separate economic growth or sustainable economic growth without having to empower young people. So if we must achieve the Africa we want, then we must start engaging young people. So I now saw it that what I was already doing in my small space was already captured within the full scale in Africa 2063 agenda, meaning 40 years away from today, that if we are able to empower young people and engage them gainfully, that the Africa we want to be a reality. So the story of youth economies for the Africa we want is a story of telling that young person that is in rural community in the Southern Africa, in Western Africa, in Northern Africa, in Eastern Africa, in Central Africa, wherever you are, that you are part of this agenda and that you can make it happen. And that we have an amazing time because we are now connected. Just as the opening remarks of Simon when he started talking, he said, we couldn't have done this in some 12, 15 years ago, but now we have this platform. We are now living in the digital world where people can easily connect. So we keep talking about youth empowerment, and we'll never get tired talking about youth inclusion, talking about developing young people and bringing them to participate. It is at the development of young people, their skill sets, closing skill gap, and giving them a right platform, either to move to the pathway of looking for jobs and having the right skills of being job ready, or they are job creators as entrepreneurs. It is at that time that the Africa we want will be a reality. Thank you. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatty. You do have a really inspiring and interesting story, and I hope that transfers over to the audience and to take up their space as well. Because of time, I will hand over to Harun to give his authentic story, and thereafter I'll do a brief closing and let everyone know what the next steps are. Over to you, Harun.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Latief?
Yes, I can. It's Aatifah.
Thank you for correction. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for sharing your story, Dr. Faith. And thank you so much for this opportunity for the participants also to join. Just to be brief, I know we have remained with 10 minutes only. My story, it's more of a childhood trauma. I'm that person. I'm from the community where majority, even family members, didn't believe on me. I'm that person. I used to struggle with imposter syndrome, and also I used to struggle with stammering. While I was young, I had that very strong stammer. I was that person. I didn't have that kind of confidence, though. I was like, I want to lead. I want to make changes. I want to improve my home condition. I want to make sure my mom, dad, and brother, sister have good life, good opportunity. But I was not given that opportunity for me to thrive. I was kind of being pressed on, so squeezed. So what I did to get out of this kind of thing, I had to find my own space. That's why I had to move from urban center in Malindi to the rural side of Kaloleni, where I'm coming from. The main reason going to the rural area is because I wanted that space, open space, where I can do things freely. So because of this, I knew that education is the only thing which will make me to be a great person. You see, so I tried to do my best for KCP class 8 level exams, and I managed to pass to go to the national school. Another issue was to get finance for my study. The stress part of it is that it was a national school and my parents cannot pay over $700. So, and they didn't have options. So I had two options: one, to give excuse and be a street boy, or two, to give excuse and be a drug dealer, or three, to embrace my vulnerability and approach people to get help. That time from my community, there was someone who was vying for a political seat. I had to approach this person at an individual level, me as me. I approached, sir, I'm requesting for the following support. I managed to get these marks. I managed to be selected to this national school, but no one is ready to fund my support. So because of this, the guy managed to link me up with some funders, and I managed to get sponsored to join a national school. During my study, I struggled to get someone to mentor me because high school, it was about who gets A's. So if you have A, you'll get support from the teachers. But if you're from C minus, now you'll have to find your own way. Imagine from my side, I didn't have opportunity to go for tuitions, you see? So it was me, school, going home. So because of that struggle, lack of mentor, being kind of a squeeze a lot, I didn't manage to meet my sponsor level of continuing with my scholarship. So the third year, as I was about to finish my Form 4, my scholarship was canceled, and it was given to my colleague just closer to me. So I was like, why did you guys cancel my scholarship without even asking? I've been so open. I've been sharing my story, what happened to me. I've been so sick. Why are you doing this? But no one was ready to answer those kind of questions. So that's where I expressed first suicidal thought. I was like, no one is ready for me. So let me just commit suicide and leave this world forever. But that time I was in school, boarding school. So I didn't manage to find something to cut my life off. So I don't know what's happened. Just miracles happen, and I managed to finish my Form 4. Now to the really wild situation. In Kenya, for you to get a sponsorship from the government, they will select for you a course, and you must do that course which they select you to do. If not, then you'll have to join as a private student. So because of that, they selected me to join hospitality course. Hospitality is not my passion. My passion is to serve humanity. So I tried to change it, but I didn't manage. I decided to approach other politicians from my community, but they denied me opportunity due to profiling reason, that there's someone from my community who is a doctor, who is an engineer, can help you. But from my community, our culture part of it, we don't have that culture of helping each other. So I was left behind. I was like, why did this guy pardon me? It's because of that I decided to join the civil society sector as a youth activist. My main goal was to first activate and give powers to young people, because I used to look those young people at the street, those who are using drugs, those who are being recruited by terrorism organization, those who are young ladies, early pregnancy. I'm like, all these issues need to be solved. And I need to do this now and stop giving excuses. So because of that, and a lot of these systematic inequalities, I had to drop out of my university. I had to stop my studying and focus on online courses. Because of this, I managed to get this website known as YALI, Young Africa Leadership Initiative. They give free courses, free tools for young leaders from Africa. I learned every practical tips, practical tools, mentorships, just online, YouTube, just my phone and internet. So I learned everything. I learned how to position myself online. And because of that, 2017, I decided to launch my community-based organization with my fellow colleagues. So because of my activism, I managed to gain that reputation. I managed to gain that kind of followers. Young people like Harun is the only one who resonates with us. So these guys decided to threaten me, and I had to move from my community to Nairobi. And because of this, this journal, I cannot go back to my community. I cannot do anything. So let me leverage my LinkedIn, tell what happened, my story, my depression level, and how I'm struggling for these issues. And because of telling my story, sharing opportunities, helping others give value via LinkedIn, 4 months later, from March, April, that's where first person to approach me was Simon to give support for Youth Energy Summit. Another person to approach me are guys from Germany via Changemaker Exchange. They were requesting me to mobilize for them, not just young people, but influential young leaders to join their program. And because of LinkedIn, I applied for a job, someone tagged me, I applied it, and I managed to join MasterCard Foundation as a volunteer in charge of gender, youth, and the marginalized groups. And as we are talking, I can see some other partners approach me requesting, like Harun, can you advise us how best can we invest in Africa? How best can we approach really young people that need one? So what I'm trying to tell my fellow colleagues that always, one, always be real, be yourself. Two, don't give excuses. Three, don't say no to opportunities. If you have to say no, pass it to your colleague. Also, don't compete with your colleague, collaborate. Like what we did this call, we just met via LinkedIn, we collaborate to do this engagement. We didn't decide to compete each other. Also, I repeat this again and I'll keep repeating it. Consistency is king. Don't just tell your story now, then wait for 2 months to get results. If possible, do it weekly basis, one post, weekly basis, if you're a busy person. If you're not a busy person, at least 2-3 posts per week. Just tell your own story. Just share tools from your own engagement. If you're a student, share what are you learning from your course to give others opportunity to learn from you. Remember, young people usually, to those partners from the high level who are on this call, young people need 3 things. They need tools to address societal problems. They need resources to implement those tools and for them to survive. And 3, they need platforms like this to amplify their voices and connect with others at a very deeper level. Yeah, so that's a brief, very brief about my story. And because of that, let me hand over to moderator. I think now it's time. Thank you so much, guys, and let's engage via LinkedIn.
Thank you so much, Harun, for sharing your story on this platform. I hope it inspires the youth of today. But just to wrap up the session, because we are out of time, I would like to just let everyone know that the next session that we'll be hosting will focus on green skills for youth. So specifically with a lens on green businesses and how you can do proposal writing. We are busy trying to get some speakers that focus in green skills and the economy, because this ties in with one of the international days for green skills for youth towards a sustainable world that is taking place on the 12th of August. However, we're not sure if we are going to do it on the 12th of August because we just need to check each other's diaries. But do keep that in mind sometime in August that we will host a session about green skills for youth. So just to end off, I would like to thank our incredible audience, esteemed esteemed speakers for being part of this electrifying free virtual workshop by Africa's young leaders from East, West, North, and South. Your participation has empowered us to equip our peers, ourselves, with essential skills for LinkedIn, self-branding, public speaking, and most importantly, we want to make a difference to the 95 million youth who are excluded from education and employment. So this is our way of giving back to Africa. And together we have explored the transformative power of social media skills, learning how to stand out on LinkedIn, speaking with extreme confidence, preparing for public speaking, CV, cover letter writing. And I know it was brief, but if you do want us to go in detail in future sessions, please shout out. You can email me. You do all have my email addresses. So let's continue to thrive in this digital age, united in one mission to build a brighter and prosperous future for Africa. So I'd like to thank you, everyone, once again. And I know there are people that have questions, so I'll leave the last few minutes for questions. I'll leave the last 5 minutes for questions, and I actually plan to have more time for questions. But I do see that half of the audience has left already. So if you have any questions, please put up your hand. And I see Harun has a question first, or something you would like to address. Go ahead, Harun.
It's a question. I request also, as we are asking questions, you can help to take a group photo. If guys, you can turn your video on, and then our moderator can help to take a group photo. So as you are posing questions, feel free to raise question or just post via chat. And as we are responding, please turn your video on so that we can take an awesome group photo. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I'm going to look weird from the angle, just making myself look nice, you know. Just waiting for everyone's screens to go on. Shayla, please put on your camera. Because I got currently in gallery view, I got Shayla, Victor, Sarah, Lucy Muturi, Cynthia. It's just changing every time. Hide non-video participants. Is everyone ready for the, okay, not yet. It's still going. It's no problem, Simon. Oh, you're still in your PJs. Sorry, that was a private message. Is everyone's cameras, are you still putting it on? Because some people's cameras are showing that there's no image. Wow, it's just going. It's like loading and it's loading. Smile. Oh, I don't know if I got the best picture because it's not everyone's camera is on. Okay, I think that's a bit more. Are there any questions? You can type it in the IM. If there are any questions, you can type it in the IM. If you don't have any at this moment, you are welcome to email it to me and I will direct it to the specific speaker, or I will try and answer it myself. But I would like to thank everyone for your time, for switching on your cameras so that we could take a photo. I tried to get everyone in, but the icons just keep moving around. Sarah, you have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, so hi everyone. My question is to Simon, but I don't know if it's a question, but it could be more like a feedback. So I attended the Yes Energy Summit and stuff, and I went to some of the companies that were available. But then one observation that I realized was that most of the companies that were there were mostly looking for investors and people who had the financial capacity to collaborate with them and all that stuff. Yeah. And some of the companies that I had a chat with, the audience that they were considering to kind of like interview so they can gain some insights about like the Kenyan community in terms of the energy sector. We're not really considering the youth level, because I was even shocked when someone was talking about they were going to interview Charlene Ruto. Then in my head, I was like, if you're really targeting the youth in the communities and you're trying to create impact to the youth like us, who are most of us were students. So how do you then go ahead and interview Charlene Ruto? So my question is, how would you ensure that in the near future or in the next summits that are going to be happening, that the students like us who don't really have the financial capacity, who cannot really invest in these big companies, also do have opportunities to work with these companies, or at all just have various opportunities like internships or graduate programs? Yeah, so that everyone is featured in this summit and the opportunities are available to also the students, not only us listening to the speakers and gaining knowledge and all that stuff, but it was basically from my observation. I don't know about anyone else who was there for the summit too. Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. Great question and good point. Yeah, we've got a lot of feedback from the private sector who attended. So let's look at what we're trying to achieve here. There is nothing on this scale in the market at the moment. So this isn't just about educating people who are looking for jobs. What we're trying to do at ENGINET and what we are succeeding, I think, is we're educating the private sector as well. So the private sector need to recruit. So how do they do that? So it's not just about educating and providing opportunities to the youths. We really need to educate the private sector and the public sector about how they can take advantage of these opportunities, because nobody has seen or done anything like the Youth Energy Summit before on that scale with that level of investors. So what we've taken away from the event is that it needs to be more prescriptive around what people are doing. Again, I think going into the Youth Energy Summit, we really didn't know how big or successful it was going to be. And I think it surpassed our expectations. But the learns there were, for when we host the event in Egypt, which is the next kind of full-scale Youth Energy Summit event next year, we will be much more prescriptive around who attends, what those people are looking for. And between now and next year, we will be talking with all of the private companies that we work with around what are the jobs that you have. We will make sure that they have teams there that are specifically there to look at employment from, to present their employment needs for their companies. So I think it's great that you picked up on that. And from our side, it is a lot of work educating these companies around what the Youth Energy Summit is, what are the opportunities that arise for them out of it. So yeah, it's a really good point, and I think something which is which we're working towards. So in Egypt, it'll be 70% about job creation and marrying the people that attend to jobs, and then 30% around business planning and helping SMEs, MSMEs to raise capital, to get business plans to a standard where they can succeed. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Is there any other questions, dying questions that you have right now? Anybody? You can just raise your hand if you have a question for any of the speakers. Do remember that Lucy is not here anymore. Okay, I don't see anybody's hands being raised. Okay, Rita, go ahead.
Hello. So I was requesting the speaker who was talking about the CV writing, if she could comment about I think it's called the ATS system, because I was having a discussion with a friend concerning CV writing. I had shared my CV to him for a review. Then he said that when you're using templates, maybe for like from sites from Canva, they produce your CV as an image or like a PDF. So when it's in the ATS system, it comes out as an image and it's unable to be read. Yeah, so is it best to share a CV in Word format or? Yeah, thank you.
Salma, I think that question was directed at you about the ATS resume. Could you answer that, please? Your mic is on mute if you are speaking. Salma, are you there? Rita, I think you raised a really good question, and I have seen it in the chat. Because Salma is not responding, can I get back to you with an answer about that? I will share it with everyone else.
Okay, sure.
Okay, apologies about that. Or do any of our other speakers have information on that specifically?
On ATS, right? Just a quick one. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Dr. Faith.
Okay, please, on ATS, actually, how this works is basically on keyword basis. So most CVs that you would see, because of so many CVs that people, organizations receive, so they came up with this application tracking system to be able to, screen out CVs that do not correlate or align with the job description, title, or position that they are looking for. So the idea is, if you have a CV and your CV is for, let's say, business development, and in that business development CV, you hardly will see business development mentioned, and you're just busy talking about development. Many times business development comes on that CV, which means the tracking system is picking the word count in terms of optimized CV by way of keyword optimization. That means this person has actually done so much around business development for it to be that, visible or being optimized. So the ATS, the application tracking system, screens out based on keyword optimization. So those that help to prepare CVs, they know how to arrange those things to be able to bypass the ATS screening. So this is just my insight on that. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I hope it answered your question, Rita.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Is there any other questions before we close the meeting? Okay, well, if any questions do come up for you, you are welcome to email me. Just a reminder, I do have a full-time job, so I might take a day to respond, or I will respond immediately. Depends on what I am doing during that day. So I'd like to thank you all once again for attending, and have a lovely weekend. And thanks to our speakers.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Aatifah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Thank you.